Episode 11, A Room with Windows. The morning after her presentation, Amara woke with a calm she hadn't felt in months. No dreams of missed flights, failed designs, or falling into blank space. Just sunlight streaking softly across her window pane and the muted hum of students walking past the building. Her phone buzzed. Noah. "There's coffee and chin-chin at your door. Congrats, star architect." She smiled. The little white box on the mat carried the scent of cardamom and nutmeg, wrapped in a wax-papered note that read, "To the girl who turned sketches into sanctuaries." The next few days swept by in a slow but satisfying rhythm. Feedback came in from faculty, overwhelmingly positive. Her submission had been recommended for the citywide architecture showcase. Noah celebrated the win more than she did, forwarding her names of past winners, sending videos of design exhibitions, and, once, a surprise parcel that contained a rare book on post-colonial African spatial aesthetics. But what stayed with her more than any of that was how he showed up around her life. When she was drowning in corrections and lighting simulations, he'd text, "Check your inbox. Sent you some lighting reference photos and a SketchUp plugin. Should help with the rendering crash issue." And when she forgot to eat, check the delivery guy. Jollof rice, fried plantains, and that goat meat you said you missed from Abuja. Even when he couldn't physically be there, bogged down with last-minute shoots or buried in editing suites, his presence lingered. One Thursday night, after an exhausting 12-hour design sprint, Amara finally stepped out of the studio. Her legs ached, her eyes were gritty, her entire body was in silent protest. Noah had sent a simple message earlier. "I'll be in the South Campus wing, editing. Doors open." She debated going. Maybe she should just collapse on her bed, but her heart had already decided. She walked. The room was dimly lit, awash in the glow of his laptop screen. He sat cross-legged on the floor, headphones draped around his neck, camera parts scattered beside him like puzzle pieces. He looked up. "You survived." "I did. Barely." He reached over and patted the floor beside him. "Come, let me show you something." She sat. Noah opened a folder on his laptop and clicked through a few thumbnails. A short video began to play. It was of her. Footage from the day of her final presentation. Not the stage part, but before it. Her walking nervously through the corridor, fidgeting with her pointer, whispering to herself. "You filmed me?" "Yeah, I was trying to catch a quiet moment. But then I saw you, and I realized that was the moment." He paused the video. "You know what I see here?" Amara turned to him, unsure. "I see courage and grace, and someone who has no idea just how much light she carries." She didn't speak. Her throat tightened. He continued, softer this time. "You don't have to carry everything alone, Amara." Silence stretched between them. Not heavy, just full. Then she whispered, "Sometimes I forget how not to." Noah took her hand. Not hurried, not tentative, just enough. "Then let me remind you." They sat like that for a long time. Not lovers, not strangers, just two people learning how to be a safe place for each other. And for the first time in years, Amara didn't feel like she was falling. She felt like she was finally landing. Episode 12. Cracks Beneath the Surface. The rain had been falling steadily since dawn, a rhythmic, unyielding downpour that turned city gutters into rushing streams and cast a grey tint over everything. Amara stood by her window, watching the world blur outside. She hadn't left her apartment all day. She hadn't even touched her sketchbook. Ever since the high of her final presentation, a strange weight had settled over her, the kind that didn't announce itself, but crept in like fog, silent, slow, and heavy. It was like she'd poured everything into that project, and now she was empty. At noon, her phone buzzed. Noah. I'm headed out to interview a Kenyan sculptor for a side project. He just opened a studio in town. Come with me? Amara stared at the message, unmoving. She wasn't in the mood for people, or art, or movement. She started typing a polite decline, but before she could hit send, another message popped up. Noah, you said once you liked the smell of wood shavings. This place smells like memory. Her thumb hovered, then changed direction. The studio was tucked into the far end of the industrial district, an unassuming structure with a rusted roof and tall glass windows fogged with condensation. The scent hit her first. Earth, cedar, warm varnish. It did smell like memory. The sculptor, a tall man with dreadlocks tied in a loose bun, welcomed them with quiet warmth. His pieces were large, raw things, half-finished torsos carved from tree trunks, abstract forms shaped like grief and rebirth. Amara stood silently before one of them, a sculpture of a woman mid-turn, arms open, spine arched, as though caught between fleeing and surrender. She looks like she's leaving something she still loves, Amara said softly. Noah turned to her, surprised. That's exactly what the artist said when I asked him. Her eyes lingered on the figure. It feels familiar? After the interview, they didn't speak much. Not in the cab ride back, not as the rain drummed harder against the windshield. It was only when they reached her apartment that the silence cracked. I'm scared, Amara said suddenly, her voice raw, of getting too used to moments like that. The quiet, the peace. You. Noah looked at her gently. Why? Because peace feels like a trick. Like something you borrow, and then it vanishes. He stepped out of the car and walked her to her door. She didn't expect him to reply, but he did, just before she turned the key. Maybe peace isn't borrowed. Maybe it's built, like your designs. A choice, brick by brick. She didn't say anything, but she didn't go inside either. Instead, she stood there, on the threshold, rain misting between them, the air thick with something unspoken. And then, without thinking, she did something reckless. She reached up, fingers brushing against the stubble of his jaw, and rested her forehead lightly against his. No kiss, no promises, just breath, shared in the space where fear met hope. Episode 13, The Visitor. The message had come at noon, crisp and enthusiastic. Noah. Dinner at your place tonight. My treat. I'll bring food, wine, maybe even a surprise. 7:30 sound good? Amara. Sounds like a deal. I'll even light candles. That's as romantic as I get on a school night. Noah. Then I'm honored. It was the first time they'd officially planned a dinner together. Not a shared sandwich at a design lab or an impromptu walk after a documentary screening, but something intentional, soft, intimate. And that made her nervous. Amara spent most of the day oscillating between preparing her small studio apartment and running edits on her latest design submission, a waterfront gallery that blurred indoor and outdoor space. Her mind should have been on symmetry and steel trusses, but it kept drifting back to Noah. The way he saw her, not just the polished parts she presented to the world, but the chaos underneath, her ambition, her fears, her scars. At 6:45, she stood before the mirror in her bedroom. Her hair was pulled into a proud crown of black coils, thick, shiny, and full, the kind of hair that made strangers stare in admiration. She'd woven the front into flat twists, framing her face in soft curves. Her blouse, deep green silk, caught the warm light and deepened her rich brown skin. She looked like a woman in bloom. By 7:30, the table was set. 2 simple plates, flickering candles, and a vase of wildflowers she'd bought earlier from a street vendor. A playlist hummed in the background, mellow jazz with a hint of soul. 7:40. No call yet. She smiled at her own anxious pacing. "Relax, Amara," she whispered. "He's probably parking." At 7:45, the doorbell rang. Her heart skipped, not with dread, but anticipation. She opened the door and froze. Standing there was a woman, tall, stunning, impeccably dressed in a white trench coat and nude heels, her red lips curled into a smile. "Amara? Hi, I'm Monica, Noah's friend, or more than that, depending on the day." Amara blinked. "Excuse me?" Monica's smile didn't waver. "I know this is unexpected, but trust me, it's better now than later. May I come in?" "I'd rather you not," Amara said slowly, hand still on the door. Monica chuckled. "I understand. This is awkward. I just thought you deserved clarity, woman to woman." Amara didn't respond. She wanted to close the door, but she couldn't move. "Noah and we go way back. Years. He and we've had this rhythm. Off and on. He runs, I let him, but he always finds his way back." Amara's stomach dropped. Monica stepped closer. "I know he's been spending time with you, and I'm sure it feels like something fresh. But you should know what you're stepping into. Noah's charming, generous, but he's also slippery, especially when it comes to closure." She pulled out her phone. "This was last weekend." She showed a photo. "Noah and Monica, seated close at a bar, laughing, his hand resting on her thigh." The air around Amara turned to frost. "You're free to believe what you want," Monica said, slipping the phone back. "But I'd check if he's ever mentioned me or our history. If not, ask yourself why." She turned to leave. "You're lovely, Amara. Don't waste yourself." The door clicked shut behind her. Amara stood in silence. The candles flickered. The jazz played on. But the warmth in the room had vanished. She sat slowly, her fingers trembling. The photo replayed in her mind, the casual way Monica had said, "our history." Had Noah lied? Or just omitted? And why hadn't he told her anything? At 7:58, her phone rang. "Noah." She let it ring. Twice. 3 times. Then silence. She stared at the untouched table. And for the first time in weeks, she felt completely alone. Episode 14. Unspoken Storms. The message came in at 8:05 p.m., just as Noah was walking up the steps to Amara's building, his hands full of a paper bag containing her favorite spicy jollof rice, suya, and a bottle of red wine. "Amara, "Dinner won't work tonight. Something came up." That was it. No greeting, no apology, no hint of warmth. He stopped mid-step, heart thudding. He stared at the screen, read the message again, then once more, as if more context would appear between the lines. Noah turned around slowly, the bag of food suddenly weightless in his grip. "What the hell just happened?" he muttered under his breath. Amara had barely hit send when the weight of disappointment collapsed on her. She stood in the middle of her softly lit living room, the music still playing, the scent of lavender still in the air. The candles flickered, mocking her. One by one, she blew them out. Then she cleared the plates, stacked them without ceremony, and carried everything back to the kitchen. Her movements were automatic, numb. She didn't even change out of her blouse. Instead, she collapsed on the couch, curled into herself, and let the tears come. She cried quietly at first, as though trying to keep the pain polite. But as the night wore on, sobs overtook her, deep and ragged. Not because she believed Monica completely, not even because of Noah, but because it hurt to feel hope and then question it so suddenly, because it took everything in her to start trusting again, because she hated how vulnerable she felt. Noah sat in his apartment in silence, the takeout containers untouched on the counter. He'd called Amara once. No response. Called again. Then a third time, this one going to voicemail immediately. He paced. Tried to remember if he had said something wrong the day before. Had he missed a cue? Did she misread something? Had something happened? Sleep never came. He stared at the ceiling, the questions clawing at his chest. When he did close his eyes, all he saw was her smile from 2 days ago, the way she looked at him when he teased her about her sketches, the warmth in her voice when she said his name. Gone, without warning. He picked up his phone again, thumb hovering over her name, then set it down. He didn't want to chase if she needed space, but God, he wanted to understand. And in the softest hours of dawn, 2 people stared at different ceilings, wondering how something so promising had taken a turn so sharp, with nothing but silence to explain it. Episode 15. Courteous Walls. The sun had barely crested the skyline when Noah sent the message. Noah. Good morning, Amara. I hope you're okay. I was looking forward to dinner last night. Is everything all right? He stared at the message for a moment, thumb hovering, then finally hit send. The hours that followed felt unnaturally long. Every buzz of his phone made his heart lurch, only to sink when it was a notification that wasn't her. He tried to work, but couldn't shake the weight of her silence from the night before. When her reply came, it was close to noon. Hi, Noah. I'm okay, thank you. Sorry about last night. Hope you have a great day. Polite, civil, but barren of warmth or explanation. Noah sighed, leaning back in his chair, staring at her message like it might morph into something more if he waited long enough. He typed a response, then deleted it. Typed again, deleted. Finally, he set the phone down and got up to pour himself some coffee, hoping it would still the storm quietly building in his chest. Monica, on the other hand, had found her opportunity. She spotted Noah alone at the outdoor cafe by the design department, his laptop open but ignored. With a carefully practiced smile, she approached and took the seat across from him without waiting for an invitation. "Rough morning?" she asked, dropping her sunglasses to the table. Noah looked up, eyes cool. "What do you want, Monica?" She shrugged lightly. "I just thought I'd check on you. It looked like you could use the company." "I'm fine." "You don't look fine," she said, leaning in. "You look like someone who just got the cold shoulder from a girl who isn't telling him why." He said nothing. "For what it's worth," Monica continued, brushing an invisible crumb from her jeans, "I always thought Amara was too complicated for you. Sweet, sure, but the kind of woman who runs when things get real." Noah raised an eyebrow. "You don't know her." "Maybe not, but I know women like her. They look strong, but they scare easily." He stood then, slowly, calmly. "You came all the way here to throw shade at someone who's not here to defend herself? That's low, Monica, even for you." Her smile faltered. "Next time," Noah added, gathering his laptop, "try caring without the claws." He walked away, unaware that from a nearby window, Amara had seen the entire exchange. And in her chest, something stirred. Guilt, uncertainty, maybe even hope. Episode 16. The Moment Between. Amara slipped out of the building just as the sun began its descent behind the tall campus trees, her satchel slung across one shoulder and her thoughts a swirling blur. She didn't want to linger, not when she wasn't sure what she wanted, not when everything inside her was still a tangled web of feelings. Her footsteps quickened, heels tapping against the stone pavement as she headed for the courtyard's side exit. "Amara!" His voice stopped her cold. She turned slowly, heart pounding. He was walking toward her, his brows furrowed with worry, determination in his step. "I was hoping I'd catch you," he said, slowing his pace as he neared. Amara forced a neutral smile. "Hey, I was just heading out." "I know, I saw you from across the courtyard. Just, please, a minute." She hesitated. "Just to clear the air." She finally nodded, her fingers tightening around her bag strap. "I don't know what Monica told you, but I need you to know that she doesn't speak for me. I care about you, Amara. That night I came for dinner, I wasn't just showing up with food. I was showing up for you. And I still want to." Amara looked up at him, her face tight with emotion. There was a pause, thick and uncertain. Then Noah asked, his voice low, "Can I just ask, why did he cancel dinner? I mean, no explanation at all?" She bit her lower lip and glanced away. Her fingers nervously adjusted the strap of her bag. "Monica came to see me," she said finally, voice soft. "The night you were supposed to come. She said some things about you, about us. I guess it got to me. I didn't know what to do." Noah's face stiffened. "She came to your place?" Amara nodded, avoiding his eyes. "Yes, I wasn't going to bring it up, but it didn't feel right not to say something." "What did she say?" he asked, tone tightening. "I don't want to repeat her words. It's not worth reliving," she replied, her voice trembling ever so slightly. "But she made me doubt what we were. She made me question everything, and I panicked." There was a silence between them, heavy but not empty. "Thank you," Noah said quietly, "for telling me." He took a slow step toward her. "I know how persuasive Monica can be, but I'm not her. I'm not playing games, Amara." She looked at him, really looked, and the sincerity in his eyes was almost too much. "I was scared," she whispered, her voice cracking just enough to betray her vulnerability. Noah took the final step. Then let me show you you're not. He opened his arms and she walked into them. It was instinctive, natural. Her head found the familiar place on his chest, and he held her like he was afraid letting go might mean losing her again. And then something even more fragile happened. Their eyes met in the stillness, and with a breathless slowness, their lips touched. A kiss that was tentative, barely formed, like a question they were both too afraid to ask out loud. Amara was the first to pull away, the reality of the moment flushing her cheeks with heat. She took a step back, eyes darting down as she tried to steady her breath. I should go, she said quickly, her voice barely above a whisper. Noah didn't stop her. He only smiled faintly and nodded. Okay, but I'm not going anywhere. As she turned to walk away, her heart pounding and mind spiraling, she didn't see Monica. But Noah did. Monica stood several feet away, stunned, unmoving, her face pale with fury, her lips parted in disbelief. Their eyes met for a split second. Noah's expression didn't falter. He simply turned and walked in the opposite direction, toward the fading sun, away from the storm Monica was quietly becoming.